Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Goswami continued, my dear king, Prince Priyavrata, was a great devotee because he sought the lotus feet of Narada, his spiritual master, and thus achieved the highest perfection in transcendental knowledge. With advanced knowledge, he always engaged in discussing spiritual subjects and did not divert his attention to anything else. The prince's father then asked him to take charge of ruling the world. He tried to convince Priyavrata that this was his duty, as indicated in the revealed scriptures. Prince Priyavrata, however, was continuously practicing bhakti yoga by constantly remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thus engaging all his senses in the service of the Lord. Therefore, although the order of his father could not be rejected, the prince did not welcome it. Thus, he very conscientiously raised the question whether he might be diverted from devotional service by accepting the responsibility of ruling over the world. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has sung Shadiya Vaishnava Seva Nistara Payeche Keba. Without serving the lotus feet of a pure Vaishnava or spiritual master, no one has ever attained perfect liberation from material bondage. Prince Priyavrata regularly served the lotus feet of Narada, and thus the prince perfectly understood transcendental subjects in truth, satattva. The word satattva means that Priyavrata knew all the facts about the spirit soul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the relationship between the spirit soul and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that he also knew all about this material world and the relationship of the spirit soul and the Supreme Lord within the material world. And thus the prince decided to engage himself only in rendering service to the Lord. When Priyavrata's father, Swayambhuva Manu, requested him to accept the responsibility of ruling over the world, he did not welcome the suggestion. This is the symptom of a great liberated devotee. Even though engaged in worldly affairs, he does not take pleasure in them, but remains always absorbed in the Lord's service. While thus serving the Lord, he deals externally with worldly affairs without being affected. For example, although he has no attraction for his children, he cares for them and educates them to become devotees. Similarly, he speaks to his wife with affectionate words, but he is not attached to her. By rendering devotional service, the devotee acquires all the good qualities of the Supreme Lord. Lord Krishna has had 16,000 wives. All of them are very beautiful, and although he dealt with each of them as a beloved husband, he was not attracted or any attached to any of them. In the same way, although the devotee may enter family life and act very affectionately toward his wife and children, he is never attached to these activities. This verse states that by serving the lotus feet of his spiritual master, Prince Priyavrata very soon attained the perfectional stage of Krishna consciousness. This is the only way to advance in spiritual life, as stated in the Vedas, Yasya deve para bhaktir, yata deve tata guru, tasyaite katita hiyarta, prakashante mahatmanaha, Shvetashvapada Upanishad 623. If one has unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord and the spiritual master, the essence of all Vedic knowledge is revealed to him. A devotee always thinks of the Lord continuously. While chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, the words Krishna and Hare immediately remind him of the Lord's activities. Since his entire life is engaged in the service of the Lord, a devotee cannot forget the Lord at any time. Just as an ordinary man always engages his mind in material activities, a devotee always engages his mind in spiritual activities. This is called Brahmasatra, or meditating upon the Supreme Lord always. Prince Priyavrata was perfectly initiated in this practice by Sri Narada. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jatam Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Svaminiti Namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatnya Deshatarine. So these materialistic sense gratification mongers are very eager to get power and prestige, so they can gratify their senses more and more and more and more and more. In this way, they're simply digging their graves. That's all they're really doing. The material powers is like a shovel, just digging their own graves. You see. But we, as devotees, if we're actually Krishna conscious, we shun having a big position. We're not like we follow the footsteps of Priyavrata. Not in any big position. Simply body engaged in devotional service. Not that I have some big position, either in the material world or in ISKCON, to be happy. Yeah. Not that I work my way up the ladder and become a big position in the material world or within ISKCON. Simply, if I can take complete shelter of Guru and Krishna, as Prabhupada quotes the verse here, nice verse, Yashadeve para bhaktir, tata deve tata guru, tasyaite kyatitar paksha prakarshante mahatmana. If one has unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord and the Spiritual Master, the essence of all Vedic knowledge is revealed to him. What does unflinching faith mean? Flinch means, if I'm flinching, I'm flinching, this is called flinching. See? But unflinching faith is just, you're solid, you're completely solid. You can do anything you want to with me. You can kill me, you can honor me, no matter what, you see. The unflinching faith, no matter what, undeviatedly absorbed in Krishna. I may be chastised and be glorified, it doesn't matter. You see? I'm beyond being glorified or chastised. Simply unflinching faith. I have no position to take complete shelter of my spiritual master in Krishna, no matter what might happen. Whether I'm healthy, whether I'm sick, whether I'm famous, or I'm infamous, whether I'm loved, whether I'm hated. It doesn't matter what the position is. Simply I must complete shelter of my spiritual master, because he's my connection with Krishna, nothing else. So, how do we come to a position of unflinching faith? Right now we have flicker. You see, there's flickering, and there's unflinching. There's the two opposite sides. Right now we're flickering. Sometimes on, it's like a lamp that's flickering. It's not steady in its illumination. It's like flickering. Sometimes maybe Indian electricity is not very stable, so the lights on go up and down. They're flickering. That's it. So how do we get out of this flickering position and become unflinching in our faith? Well, we learned this from Prabhupada, you see. We saw Prabhupada's unflinching faith that inspired us to follow in his footsteps. Let me become like Prabhupada. The devotees, you see, we're known as Prabhupada Nugas, those who are following the footsteps of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. So let us be actual Prabhupada Nugas, not in name only, but in consciousness, in thoughts and feelings, in emotions, in every way. Let us become true Prabhupada Nugas who are taking the shining, brilliant example of Srila Prabhupada, who's showing us the way. So he's called Acharya, one who teaches by his example. So anybody give a flashy lecture, quoting so many verses, from these pastimes, anybody, even a scholar can come in and give so many, references. Just see how learned I am. I'm a big, big scholar. Give me a PhD, a Nobel Prize. But the real teacher is the one who shows by his example. He's always unflinchingly absorbed, without any flickering. He's always unflinchingly absorbed in the service of the Lord in all time, places, and circumstances. Satatang kirtayanto mang yatantas dirdarataha namash satatang kirtayanto mang yatanstata dirdarataha namashantaschamang bhaksha nitya yukta upasate. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So just note in that verse, with great determination, you see. These great souls always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination. So how do we come to that position? We many times give the example of the little sparrow. We have to have great determination, you see. How do we have the determination? Because we have faith, we know what I will get out of this, you see. I know because I see the example of Srila Prabhupada. I know that if I really stick to this process, I'm going to get glorious, glorious results. You see? Very amazing results, you see. That's going to come. I should be able to experience Krishna in full. We have these wonderful verses we chant regularly. Anganniyasha sakalendriya vritti manti pashyanti pantikyachalayam ananda chinmaya anganniyasha sakalendriya vritti manti pasyanti pantikalayanti charam jaganti ananda chidmaya vigrahasya govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami. I know if I stick to this process, that day will come, I'll be able to experience Krishna in full. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord. His transcendental form is full of bliss, truth, substantiality, and is thus full of the most dazzling splendor. Each of the limbs of that transcendental figure possesses in himself the full-fledged functions of all the organs, and eternally sees, maintains, and manifests the infinite universes, both spiritual and mundane. Just consider what Brahmaji must have experienced to be able to write such words. What he actually experienced, you see. Then as if we analyze that verse, if I ask you, how is it that Krishna is full of the most dazzling splendor, what would you say? How is it that Krishna is full of the most dazzling splendor? How is it? How does he have that? How does he have? This verse actually answered that question. I worship with the Prime, whose transcendental form is full of bliss. His transcendental form is bliss, truth, and substantiality. Because Krishna is, because of these three things, bliss, truthfulness, and substantiality, because of these three things, therefore he has the most dazzling splendor. Bliss, truth, and substantiality. What does substantiality mean? I mean, it's amazing how Bhakti-siddhanta Saraswati is able to analyze the Sanskrit and give the most erudite, poetic English. It's not even his native language, can you imagine? Even the most learned scholars in English can't even catch up with them, you see. It's transcendental form which is full of bliss, truth, and substantiality, and thus has the most dazzling splendor. What does substantiality mean? Well, the opposite is, you see, substantiality means if something is substantial, it means that there's something there. You see. Somebody gives a substantial argument, for example. It's a very powerful, well-supported argument. It's not a weak, flaky, weak argument. It's something that's very substantial. It's like someone say, well, he has this substantial amount of wealth. That means he's really loaded with money, you see. Substantially amount of wealth. It means there's a lot there that's very potent, very powerful. So Krishna is full of substantiality. His form is full of substantiality. It has power, it has force. It's not in any way lacking in anything. So it's amazing the results that one can get by following this is here, but faith in the spiritual master, in Krishna. Yasya Devi Paradakya. It's amazing what actually be achieved if we actually tune into this process. There's actually no limit to what we can experience. No limit. You see. Just like that other verse, Anganniyasha sakalendriya vritti manti pashyanti pante. Am I getting the say Ananda Chenmaya Sadhunvilavangrahasya? That verse. I worship Govinda the Primeval Lord. His transcendental form is full of I worship Govinda the Primeval Lord, whose glory ever triumphantly dominates the mundane world by the activity of his own pastimes. Huh? Tell me again?
His transcendental form is full of bliss.
Oh, that's a previous verse. I'm looking at 42 right now. Verse number 42, 542. That's the one I'm referring to right now. I'm making the see. How's it go? Ananda Janmaya Rasat Matayam Manasu Ya Praninam Pradiyasambhamamu Pecha Leela Yatena Vivanan Nijajattajashram Govinda Varipurisham Tamahamajami. I worship Govinda the Primeval Lord, whose glory ever triumphantly dominates the mundane world by the activity of his own pastime, being reflected in the minds of recollecting souls as the transcendental entity of every blissful cognitive rasa. Another amazing English translation. But the very interesting of how the hearts or the consciousnesses of these self-realized souls are like mirrors, you see. In other words, by connecting with the self-realized soul like Prabhupada, you can actually, everything is experienced. In Prabhupada himself, you can experience all of Krishna's pastimes, you see, whose glories are very triumphantly dominant in the world, being reflected in the minds of recollecting souls, you see. So this, by connecting with Srila Prabhupada, actually all of Krishna's pastimes are there. They're all reflected, you see. The Leela is there, but they're all, it's like you can look at the reflection. It's like you put in your tilak, say, well, what is it? How's my tilak look? You look in the mirror, right? Is it sloppy? Is it neat? Is it okay? By the reflection, you can see the nature of the thing. You see, is my tilak okay, or is it no good today? Did I mess it up, or is it okay? In the mirror, you can see. So the souls like Srila Prabhupada, they're like mirrors of Krishna in all of his aspects: his name, his fame, his qualities, his pastime. So just see the benefit we get by connecting with this great Vaishnava Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, by embracing his orders as our very life and soul. We don't have to worry about what they are, but, well, I wasn't a disciple, I didn't go to the morning walk, no. It's all there in the purports. Like many people went on the morning walks, they fell away, you see. But those who actually can embrace what Prabhupada said, these books are the law books for the next 10,000 years. We can actually embrace what's stated in these books and follow these as the law books, the rule books, of which you once you engage your mind, your words, your activities. Let my every thought, word, and deed be a perfect reflection of the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. You see, if you can do this, you're going to be real well situated. You see, well situated. You see. So it's not really difficult if you actually follow the instructions. Just like you may not know how to make cornbread, for example. But if you follow the recipe, we put this much cornmeal, this much flour, this much baking powder. You just follow the recipe and come up with some really good cornbread. If this, 425 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes, you just plug, the recipe is all there, you just do it, you see. Follow the recipe, you get some really good cornbread to offer to Krishna, you see. But you think, well, I'll just do my own thing. I'll put this much cornbread, cornmeal, this much flour, put this much baking powder, just throw it in. Of course, if you're highly realized, but for us neophytes, we have to follow the instructions. So if you follow the instructions, Prabhupada, the cookbook, how you can have prema bhakti, awakening within your heart. Just like the 10 offenses are there, we have to know those offenses, we have to avoid them, you see. To be offensive, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives to propagating the holy name of the world. consider the names of the demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Vishnu, to disobey the order of the spiritual master, you see, to minimize the importance of the Vedic literatures, to consider the glories of the holy name to be imagination, to give, in this way, to give some interpretation of the holy name, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. You see, we have to be very conscious. Not that I can just do my own thing and it can be considered a great kirtan leader because of my musical abilities. Some may be a very excellent musician, but if they're disobeying the order of the spiritual master, what is the value of their kirtan? He's a big, famous kirtan leader, but he's disobeying the order of the spiritual master. What's the value of his musical abilities if he's not even following the instructions of the spiritual master? So we should actually see who is the real leader we have in our Krishna consciousness movement. The real leaders are those who are strictly following Srila Prabhupada's instructions and not, quote, doing their own thing, unquote. You see? That was a popular thing back in the 60s, do your own thing. That was a popular saying. You got to do your own thing. Don't follow the leaders, do your own thing. You see? But, it was good in one sense, to detach yourself from the materialistic leaders, but you have to find a bona fide leader, you see. Rejecting a bogus leader is very good, but you can't go without a leader, you see. Otherwise, if you go without a leader, we're going to have a leader anyway. If you don't follow a leader, you're going to end up making your senses your leader. You end up follow your senses, you see. So our tendency is to follow a leader. We all have the tendency. So if you don't follow a leader outside of yourself, you'll end up following your own material desires. Become leader of your mind, words, anger, tongue, belly, and genitals. You get yourself in big trouble. Go down to the animal kingdom, your next birth. So we need to follow a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada. Said we follow such a leader as Srila Prabhupada, then we're well situated on the pathway back to home, back to Godhead. It's like that nice poem with a real Bhagavad Gita. He started on the road, wondering why those mundane wranglers have to carry such a load. You see, Prabhupada has given us the real Bhagavad Gita, and we can just feel sorry for all the mundane wranglers, speculators, all these poor speculators spouting off so many bogus philosophies, carrying such a burden, and being dragged down to the lower species again and again and again and again and again. So the devotee, he takes as Mahabharata explains, he feels like a father for all these. He sees them like his children. Mahabharata explains like that. So you can feel sorry for all these poor souls that have gotten misled by the bogus leaders, the politicians, the songwriters, the actors, the rappers, or whoever, politicians, bogus gurus. It's really sad. Everybody's following leaders. Everybody wants to follow a leader. That's a natural psychology. Because they don't have the proper leaders, you see. Shvad Veda Ushta Karai Sangstatak Parishak Pashu Jatakamato Vipa Jatanam Gadagraja. Those men who are like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses, they praise those men who do not listen to the transcendental pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna, the deliverer from all evils. So you get all the little dogs, hogs, camels, and asses, go to the voting station. Who will they vote for? A big dog, a big hog, a big camel, and a big ass. So that's the kind of politicians we have. Dogs, hogs, camels, and asses. Isn't it? So, what are we going to do? We're going to follow a big dog, hog, camel, and ass? Or are we going to actually see that person who's qualified to lead as the bona fide spiritual master, especially his divine grace, Srila Prabhupada? Who are we going to take as our leader? We have to be very intelligent to choose that person who will take us out of this chaos we're in right now. You see? This material world is a hellish nightmare. It's a very chaotic situation. It's a pandemonium. So we need somebody who can get us out of this place. There's riots going on everywhere, all kinds of chaos going on, murders and rapes and all kinds of horrible things going on everywhere. And even at Kumbh Mela, there are people stealing, the thieves Thievery is going on big at the Kumbh Mela. You see, one of my readers, somebody stole his iPhone at Kumbh Mela. So you got to be careful when you go to Kumbh Mela, so-called religious, a very spiritual place, but there's all kinds of people there to steal your stuff. You see, well, they rip you off. Oh, here comes the more pilgrims. What can I steal from them? You see, there's many thieves there right now going through Kumbh Mela. How much they can steal? You see, so don't be naive. You go to Kumbh Mela because the thieves are there ready to rip you off. You see. So this whole material is a big rip-off, actually, being ripped off by the material energy. That yes, you can enjoy here. Come on, my dear soul, you can enjoy here. Come on, enjoy, have some illicit sex, eat this and eat that, drink this and drink that. Come on, enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. It's a big rip-off, you see. We're being cheated and misguided by the material nature. So we should not be naive fools to be misled in this way. We have to understand where we can find actual guidance. That's the Supreme Authority, Lord Sri Krishna, the source of all existence, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha, Anadir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. Krishna is the Supreme Godhead. He is an eternal form full of bliss and knowledge. He has no origin, He is the origin of all, and He is the prime cause of all causes. So let us follow Krishna and those who purely represent Him. As Krishna said, Tadvadi pranipatena paripashnena sevaya upadekshnatite jnanam jnanena tattvadarshinaha. Just try to learn the truth by approaching the spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. So, how does one see the truth? We normally see through our eyes, isn't it? But the real seeing is through the ears, you see. Even it's interesting in the English language, someone says, well, let's see how that burfi tastes. To the tongue they're saying. Well, let's see what that bhajan sounds like. Seeing actually can apply to any of the senses. Well, let's see how we can end the class now also. Let's open it up for some questions. Technically going till 9 o'clock, so we have 15 minutes. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them. I can't hear so well, my hearing aid's broken, but I'll try.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Srila. You mentioned that we don't have to be independent, means we don't have to work independently, but we have that tendency of that independent nature. Then how to curb that independent nature?
How to give up the independent nature? Well, because of his independent nature, we've been caught up in the cycle of birth, the cycle of birth and death since time immemorial. Want to enjoy independently. It's like the hand trying to enjoy independently the stomach. It's a foolish thing. So we have to understand trying to be independent is foolishness, you see. It's like I told one brahmachari who wants to wander to temple, he wants to be independent, wandering to temples like a gypsy, wandering to temple to temple to temple. I told him you got to find somewhere to surrender, otherwise you'll fall down. You see, I advise this brahmachari. You can't just go wandering, temple wandering all over ISKCON and think you're an advanced devotee. You'll fall down eventually, you see. So we have to give up this tendency to act independently, because the first thing, understand it doesn't work. The hand cannot enjoy independently the body. So we have to have a strong philosophical understanding why I cannot enjoy independently. Philosophical understanding, jnana, is very important, because you can't apply the knowledge unless you understand the knowledge. The application is to take shelter of the bona fide spiritual master. That's how you give up the independent tendency. But unless you understand the concept, how you actually practice it. So you have to have a very strong philosophical understanding of why acting independently doesn't work. It will not satisfy me. I cannot enjoy independently from Krishna and Guru. It's not possible. So once you have that understanding, you have to seek out a bona fide spiritual master who then will engage you 100% in Krishna's service, putting yourself under the guidance of the spiritual master. He will say, do this and don't do that, you see. Chant Hare Krishna and don't do these illicit sex, meeting, intoxication, and gambling. Do this and don't do that. say, well, I have this tendency to act independently, but having faith in the words of Guru and Krishna, I'll act according to their instruction and take my tendency to be independent and lay it aside. I've tried to be independent for thousands, millions of lifetimes. Where they get me another damn rotting material body? You see? So I should understand philosophically how independence has not worked for me. I've tried to pull it off, and it has never worked. It's been a disaster for me trying to be independent. So let me philosophically understand why it's a complete foolishness. It's absolutely asinine to try to enjoy independently. So therefore, let me find that place where I can put my trust, someone who can guide me how to actually give up this independent tendency and become fully dovetailed with the will, the desire of that Supreme Lord who is standing on the bank of Keshi, God blowing the fifth note on his flute. You see? Anything else? Oh, we can end it here. Yes.
How to develop love?
Huh?
How to develop love towards own bona fide spiritual master?
How to develop love to bona fide spiritual master?
Well, the love is already there. You already have love in your heart. That's why if you don't have anything else, we get a dog. Everybody has a tendency to love. But the difficulty is to put our love in such a place where we get burned, you see. I got burned and I learned, you see. Everybody is frustrated. That's why they wrote that song, Love is a 4-letter word. They've been so burned. I tried loving this, loving there, and I was burned again and again and again and again and again. I gave them a lot of here. I tried to give it to my country, but then the country ripped me off. They took all they paid so many taxes I can't even afford to live anymore. You know, we got burned by giving our love in the wrong place. But that doesn't mean love is wrong. It just means we're putting our love in the wrong place. So we have to find that place where we can give our love and get full reciprocation. That's with Krishna and those who purely represent Krishna. So how do you know it works? Well, you try it, you see. How do I know that, this bicycle works? Well, I get on the thing and pedal it and see what happens. It actually takes me somewhere, you see. So does that answer your question?
King Priyavrata was already detached from the very beginning. Because of that, he was unaffected by material energy, or because of receiving the mercy from his spiritual master and his father.
So Maharaj Priyavrata was not affected by material energy because he was already like a pure devotee.
It's already detached, yeah.
Or it was by the mercy of spiritual master.
Well, I haven't studied it in detail, but the basic concept is it's both. You cannot independently become self-realized. You require the mercy of the spiritual master. We sing that every morning. By the mercy of the spiritual master, one receives the mercy of Krishna. By the mercy of Krishna, it goes both ways. By the mercy of Guru, you get the mercy of Krishna. By the mercy of Krishna, you get the Guru. So that's the basic concept. I haven't studied this chapter in full, but that is the concept for all of us. By the mercy of Guru, you get Krishna, and by the mercy of Krishna, you get Guru. That's our philosophy. It's taught, we sing every morning. Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur has taught us that way. So it must apply to Priyavrata also. Although I can't tell you the details about him, and having studied it in detail. That's a universal principle that applies to everybody. You see. Even Lord Chaitanya took a guru. Can you imagine? To teach us by example. Lord Chaitanya took a guru? Yes, he did. So if Lord Chaitanya took a guru, what about little old me? Well, I don't need a guru. I'll do it on my own. Good luck. Good luck. You're not following the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He himself took a guru. Even Krishna took a guru, Sandipani Muni. If Krishna has a guru, what's my position? You see? Yes?
Why material energy, why induce us by attractive suggestions? Why is not...
Better help me, Mr. Sherman. I can't hear anything.
So why material energy is
So strong?
not trying to induce us for material enjoyments?
For attractive suggestions, by attractive suggestions.
Why material energy is like trying to attract us for material things?
Oh, why the material energy is deluding us
Instead of kind of trying to help
and
directly.
trying to help us become Krishna conscious. Because you wanted to be deluded. Krishna's fulfilling your desire. You had a desire to try to enjoy independently of Krishna. So Krishna says, okay, I'll give you the deluding energies to facilitate you. That actually is Krishna's kindness. You want to enjoy independently from Krishna, so he says, okay, I'll give you the deluding energy. You think you can do it. Because you wanted to try enjoy separately from Krishna. So Krishna gave you the material energy to help you try to do them. That's his kindness. Maya is Krishna's kindness upon you. It's not the example of them. There's some example. What is that example? I forget the example. That you wanted to try to enjoy, okay, your facility is there. Let me think of the example. Put it in thought for the day if I remember it. There's a nice example of that Prabhupada gives. Anything else?
When everyone is looking for solution to their problems, why only very few are directed to the bona fide sources?
You might as well just stay here.
If everybody is looking for solutions, only why just few get bona fide solutions?
Everybody's looking everybody wants to get free from their suffering. But the 99.99% are trying to do it through, because they misidentify with their bodies, they try to get relief from their suffering on the bodily and mental platform. By maybe taking some drugs, for example, marijuana or some LSD or something, try to find happiness. Because they're misidentifying with their bodies, they try to find happiness through different forms of sense gratification. But those who have enough intelligence to realize, who are blessed with the intelligence to realize there's something beyond this body, they go for the real thing. It's due to bodily misidentification that 99% of the people look in the wrong place to get free from their suffering. You understand? But those who are fortunate to realize I actually have some identity beyond this body, it's actually not difficult. And when they're sincerely wanting to find out the truth, Krishna reveals. Those who are sincerely seeking the actual purpose and meaning of existence, Krishna then will guide them how to do them. But those who don't really care about it, who just want some instant gratification, they will remain in illusion. Does that make sense to you? Okay, let's see. I think we have like 4 minutes left. Yeah.
So, Shilagada, just wondering why it's not good if a brahmachari is traveling, meeting devotees, preaching, book distribution, also keeping in touch with spiritual master, what he's doing. So why it is dangerous?
Why is it dangerous? Because he thinks he's following his own mental whims. The spiritual master doesn't advise him to just wander freely all over the... Spiritual master doesn't tell him to do that. He's following his own mental whims. I don't like this temple. He's finding fault. There he wants to go somewhere else. I don't like this temple. I go to another temple. He's a fault finder. He's finding fault here, finding fault there. Looking. He doesn't find a place where he can actually take shelter. Because he's finding, wherever he goes, he finds fault. This is nice, but this goes on. This is nice, but he's finding fault wherever he goes. We heard this morning the reading. The devotee is like the honeybee, and the non-devotee is like the fly looking for sores. You see, instead of being like a fly, like a honeybee, he's like a fly. That's the difficulty of being wandering here and there, not being satisfied anywhere really. You need to find some place where you can dedicate yourself to following a particular. But the spiritual master wants him to find a place where he can, a project or a temple, where he can dedicate himself to that leader and work full-time under that person. That's what Prabhupada told me to do. Even though he's a spiritual master, he told me to follow the temple authority. That's how I was instructed. I'm just passing on the same instructions I got from Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, follow the temple authority. Say, why should I follow the authority? I don't accept Prabhupada as my authority, but my authority, Prabhupada said, follow the temple authority. So one doesn't accept an authority and just wanders on his own, he's not going to, it's dangerous. Because eventually he'll just wander back to the clutches of Maya. That's what will happen eventually. That's my understanding. Okay, our time is up. One last question.
Gurudev, one should not seek the leadership, as you said, materially or spiritually.
Seek what?
Leadership, like the
You'll have to help me again.
The position in the world. And parallelly, your grace says that one should make the world Krishna conscious. We need president, Krishna conscious president and other things. So how do we balance it?
So Shilagadev, you mentioned that we shouldn't seek the leadership position?
Yeah, positions in the material and spiritual. ISKCONers, we should not, because we should not have that.
So we should not hanker for leadership position, like we should be humble, kind of proprietorship, but at the same time,
we should be completely submitted to the order of Guru and Krishna. One can to want to be a person who can lead people back to Godhead. That's a very good desire. That would, for some position of power in the material world, if you want to be able to preach effectively and lead people to go back to God, that's a very good desire. Spiritual leader, to want to be a spiritual leader is very good. We need spiritual leaders. Prabhupada said it's better to become acharya. Acharya means a spiritual leader. Prabhupada wants us to become leaders. He wants our devotees, every devotee should become a leader actually, by preaching. Leading people how to go back, but how to some big position in the material world. I want to be the prime minister. Of course, if you're a devotee, that'd be good if we have a devotee prime minister. But want to have some position of power, like this guy Trump. You see, he wants a big position so he can, show what a great powerful person he is. That's not good. But be a spiritual leader who can guide people back to God, is very good. Yeah. But
all these qualities are there, originally made by Krishna. Guna karma.
Guna karma.
Yeah. Leadership position. One doesn't have to aspire. They're born with that.
You see, you'll naturally have that nature.
Brahman, Vaishya, Kshatriya.
Yeah, well, see, the Brahmins are the actual leaders.
Yeah.
By example and by teachings.
Yeah, Kshatriyas are in a different manner. Vaishyas
The
are
Kshatriyas are leaders, but they're not the ultimate leaders of the Brahmins. The ultimate leaders are the Brahmins. The spiritual masters, they're the actual leaders. The spiritual teachers or Brahmanas, they are the actual leaders. By their example and by teachings, they don't need. Prabhupada said, we're not hankering for some big position. Separation of church and state, Prabhupada said. We don't want to be president. We want to guide the president. That's our position. Anything else? Okay, we'll stop here.
Some chat is there.
Oh, is that one? All right, one chat. After a series of events being engaged in services, suddenly the mind thinks, oh, it's been a while, I've wasted my time in bad habits. I wonder how it's making me feel now, and then mind helps to describe back to our old addictions. Please enlighten me. How to repel back to such a strong urges at that instant. Well, the thing is, the old urges keep coming. It's like the Munacharya Banju, because he was having illicit sex as a king. Suddenly his mind would go back, he'd be attracted. So he just spit at the thought. Suddenly his memories of sexual intercourse would come to his brain, he'd spit at him, get out of here, you're not welcome. So previously we were engaged in sinful activities. Some of us may not, but I know especially the hippie, when we were all engaged in sinful activity. So when those tendencies come back, you just have to reject them. You can't think, oh, let your mind go wandering here and there to remember sinful activities. You have to say, get out of here, you're not welcome, I have one business only, and that's to be Krishna's pure devotee. So when sinful thoughts come, you have to reject them. You can't try to enjoy subtly some sinful memories. You have to kick them out. You're not welcome here. Okay, we'll go ahead and stop here. We thank everybody for tuning in. Thank you very much.